Welcome to Nerd Church. We are here to kick off our first ever marathon session, which means that it's possible this episode will be delivered in two parts to our 4 subscribers or whatever we have. We are jumping back in. We had a little bit of a cliffhanger last time where your party made it back to Saltmarsh Landing, escorted by a troop of blades who, upon seeing you there safely, headed back out in search of the rebels that they were trying to pursue. Not knowing, of course, that one of those rebels, Festina, was with your party, wearing one of your magical masks. And the cliffhanger that I speak of is that we're not sure yet what happened to your friend Marks. As you made it back to the road, 2 of the blades in the troop headed off down the road in the direction that Marks and Hade were camping. And so there is some concern, particularly Festina is concerned, that if they encountered that camp, those blades would have done something unfortunate. Either way, your party was pretty exhausted and decided to take a long rest back at the inn, the Beached Kraken, in Saltmarsh Landing. And you rolled out of bed shortly after noon with the sun high in the sky and decided to head out into town to see if Marks had returned. Where are you looking? Are you staying together? Are you splitting up? What is the approach here as you step into the warm late fall afternoon here in Saltmarsh Landing?
Were we going over to the stables to look for Marks?
Oh yeah, I think that's true, right?
Yeah, and one of you are going to stay behind to make sure that Festina is.
Thought I was gonna
Yes.
stay because Lily was also.
Lily's not with us.
Lily's back at.
Is she gone?
She's in
Yeah,
Featherwand.
Lily's back at Featherwand.
Okay.
But yes, this is correct. You, Pando had agreed to stay with Festina, largely because she's a bit of a flight risk right now.
Mhm.
Last night, when you got back, she wanted to immediately depart and go look for her grandpa, and
Right.
you convinced her to stay. So Pando's staying back, and the 3 of you are heading to the stables? Is that accurate?
Yeah, sure.
I
suppose
feel
so.
like one of us is going to go off and look somewhere else.
Oof, you really tested my memory now.
Yeah.
Well, we can make a fresh decision.
Yeah,
Cut it out.
Nothing you did in the last 2 minutes of the last session has to stick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the stable seems like a great place to go and check. There isn't another inn in Saltmarsh
There
Landing.
is not. No.
Not
There's
that kind of
basic.
place.
I mean,
Can we just do a little look around from where we're standing?
sure, yeah. I mean, Saltmarsh Landing is not a big place. There's 2 streets, the major trade road that heads to Featherwand, and a cross street. There's the Beached Kraken, where you're currently staying. The only other building of significance that's not just a sort of a residential home is the general store, which is also the stables. The stables are butted up against the back of it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's really it. I was thinking of the temple, but that's in Featherwand. So yeah, as you step out into the street, look left and look right, you don't immediately see your wagon or Marks.
Do we
at a
see any
glance.
blades?
No, there are not currently any blades in line of sight when you immediately step out of the inn.
Great.
Okay,
Well, let's go over to the
head
stables.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time's of the essence, I think. You have to.
All right, you had well, if time was of the essence, you probably shouldn't have slept for 10 hours. But
Right.
Oh man, okay. Well, time's not of the essence, you guys.
I mean, at this point, you're just waking up to see what happens.
So we held her in captivity, or we held her back from like
You
going to
basically
search for-
you convinced her
to stick around.
that you were sent on this mission by Marks to keep her safe.
Right,
So her
gotcha.
charging
Yep.
back into the woods to try to rescue her
Right.
grandpa was the opposite of what he wanted.
Right.
She wasn't happy about it, but she agreed to stay.
And we're just hoping that he shows up again.
That's what you're hoping. Yeah. with your poop wagon.
With our poop bag. Oh, right.
Man.
We're heavily invested in poop
I know.
market
I
right now.
hope we didn't lose our poop.
So, coming around the corner of the general store, you see the now somewhat familiar stables. You've spent a fair amount of time mucking auroch dung out of there.
Familiar faces.
Yep. And immediately, it's obvious to you that your wagon is not here, and there is no sign of Mark's. Also, a quick poke of your head into the general store reveals still no Marks. You check back the loading docks where you hung out with the clerk. Marks is also not there. And of course, you did not see him in the lobby of the Beach Kraken as you walked out. So currently, there is no sign of Marks as the sun is just past its zenith in the sky.
Well, not much choice, right? I think Air would want to go try to backtrack and go find him where we left him.
Are we gonna be able to? Are there blades around? Are they gonna allow us to go back down the road?
Well, I think
Are there?
the only reason why we went all the way to Salt March Landing in the first place was because it was like part of our cover story.
That's right.
So
you told the Blades that you were
now that we made it
merchants
there.
who had gotten lost
Right.
because you got chased by
Yes.
marsh. What do I call them? Something.
Okay, I
Marsh
couldn't remember.
marsh
I thought
wrigglers.
we had been
Muck wrigglers.
escorted.
Muck Wriggler. that-
Muck wrigglers. That's what it
Muck
was.
wrigglers.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
kind of spun a tale there of
Yes.
poop merchants gone astray, which they then escorted what they viewed as a noble elven woman back to the relative safety of Salt March Landing, ostensibly to get on a ship.
Mhm. Ship delayed.
Well, we
Gotta
gotta
go
find our
back.
merchandise before
Yeah.
we get on the ship.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna go find
Okay.
this ridiculous tabaxi. That'll be the cover story.
Yeah.
You know how tabaxis are. We'll tell the Blades. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So unreliable.
Okay. So we should go back and get Pando, and I'm sure.
She'll. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Just
sure they
how
will.
we want to come with.
I'm sure.
Okay. Seems like a logical progression here.
Well, as you make your way back towards the center of town, or back towards the Beached Kraken, make a perception check, please. Anyone
Uh-huh.
who pleases. Except
Passive
Pando.
perception.
Passive perception.
No, roll perception, please.
Full on perception.
Could I rather have my passive?
Right.
Right.
7. Not very
5.
perceptive.
Yeah, mine was 7 too. Oh, I should have. Yeah.
We're in a little bit of a daze.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
I,
that this was any better. This was an 8.
Yeah,
I mean, I can
what it
imagine
would've been. Oh. Yeah.
the party perhaps is a little distracted and concerned. Your hopes being somewhat dashed. Yeah, so I guess I would say it's not until it's almost upon you that you differentiate the creaking wheels and snort of oxen behind you as you turn and see trundling up the road from the direction of Featherwand your wagon, and seated in the driver's seat a somewhat disheveled but alive Marks.
Oh wow. Okay. I was not expecting that.
No, that was given to us.
I think the roll of the dice in the off time went our way.
Something happened, and
Okay.
you'll learn more about that in a moment. You decide if it went
Okay.
your way
Does
in a
he-
bit.
He just disheveled. He doesn't look injured in any way.
He doesn't look immediately injured in any way.
Does he look concerned, or does he look just tired? And
We can make an insight check.
I will.
If you'd
I
like.
would love to make an insight check. Nat 20.
Nat 20.
Give me his innermost thoughts.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
He looks exhausted. He also looks worried.
Oh, okay.
He looks very worried. And with that level of insight, I will say, it looks like he's been pushing these oxen pretty hard. So though he is very late getting here, he has been moving fast, and he is both relieved and concerned when he sees you,
Does,
and is moving quickly. Gabe, what are we
does he
doing?
look injured at all?
No.
No.
He has no obvious injuries.
Okay.
Pando,
Yep.
from your room in the Beached Kraken, Festina has been staring out the window since she woke up and sees the wagon and Marks, and immediately runs out of the room, unless you're going to attempt to restrain her or anything like that.
Nope. I think I follow her.
Okay. So it is only a moment later as Marks gets a little closer to you and pulls up in front of the Kraken with the wagon that Festina comes pouring out of the inn and collapses in tears into his arms as he jumps off of the wagon. The two of them cling to each other tightly. There's a lot of whispered conversation back and forth between them. A little bit of frustration, and
Friends, can we get these two inside?
Yes. Yeah.
I'll take the cart to the stables.
now that you're a little closer to Marks and face to face, it's hard to tell with Tabaxi, but those of you with slightly better perception up close can see that he does have a pretty significant bruise on his face. So he's not just disheveled and tired, but he's got a shiner.
Okay.
And Festina is sort of immediately trying to tend to him in this way as best she can. Yeah. And Marks turns to you and says, "Sorry if I worried anyone." And Festina pokes him at that moment and sort of happily, but also she's still very overcome. There was a lot of fear built up here in both of them. We ran into some trouble. Small party of blades visited our camp last night. Luckily, I was up, couldn't sleep, and I heard them coming. Managed to get Hade hidden, but let's just say they had a lot of questions for me, and they decided to eat my food, use my fire. It was a lot of hours before they really let me go, and I know it looks like I got it bad, but Hade's worse. And at this point you hear a rustling, and rolling out from underneath the tarp covering your auroch dung, caked in dung from head to toe, is a miserable looking Hade, who falls onto the ground in front of the inn and sort of coughs a couple times. He stinks really bad.
We need to get him up quickly to a shower and out of the street.
As
Get everyone out of the street.
Yeah, now.
as you sort of hustle people inside, Marks says, "Let me at least take the wagon around to the stables. Leave it sitting out here, it's going to be obvious. I'll meet you if you've got a room. I'll come find you here in just a moment."
How about I come and assist you, friend?
So the two of you can quickly drop the wagon off. There's no concerns there. And everyone else, you make your way inside. Now, the Beached Kraken does have a place to bathe. It's a sort of big communal wash basin kind of a space. It's not fancy. The water's not warm. But Hade desperately needs to get in there. So are you bringing Hade there first, or are you taking Stinky Hade to your room?
I think Hade
Say
needs to
straight
bathe.
to the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight to the straight to the baths.
Anyone who's bathed the cat before, not it.
In this case, Hade is enthusiastic about the idea. He does not like the idea of self-bathing this particular mess. And so he jumps eagerly into the water and starts scrubbing vigorously. But while that's happening, he is looking at you all with desperate eyes, and he says, "The fact that I'm here means the message did not get to the other cell.
Yeah.
I'm in no shape to go right now. A lot of people are going to die if we don't move, if we don't do something. Please, could one of you or all of you, I know you just got back, and I know there's risk, but you're the only ones who could travel safely right now. I can tell you where to place the message. If you could just get back to Featherwand as quickly as possible, we might save dozens of lives. And he keeps scrubbing.
Where are Festina and Marks?
So Festina has headed back up to the room by the time Marks got back.
Okay.
The two of them are just trying to get out of sight, and they are catching up and kind of just taking comfort in the fact that the two of them are alive. So she's not here in front of you right now. It's you all and Hade.
Okay.
Well, I guess we gotta go.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
Man, I wish there was something we could do with those stones. Like the communication stones, but one of us would
Oh.
still have to go.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah. Just,
I-
we've already been here resting for a day or so.
We have. I'm not really in favor of us splitting up either.
No.
Yeah.
And now I'm worried because Lily is in Featherwand.
Yeah.
She has no
Yeah,
relation to
really.
this situation, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I mean-
I know, but if stuff goes
I know.
down in
That's so
Featherwand,
Well, should we just go?
Back to,
Yeah.
yeah, let's go. Tell us
Might
where.
as well.
are we using
We'll
the
have to go to the
wagon?
stables
No,
and
definitely
see if
not.
we can find some horses to get back there quicker,
Okay.
or well, a dog in my case.
A mastiff.
A mastiff.
Right.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Do we still have the homunculus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes.
Yep.
So as a reminder, and we can
We'll
deal
have
with
a standing sentry outside of the room at the moment.
That sounds good.
we can deal with some of the things that you'll tell Festina and Marks in a little bit. But if you're telling Hade that you're going to take care of this, are you telling Hade that you're going to take care of this?
Well, we'll try,
Yeah,
right?
hey, we'll try. Tell us where.
I think. I mean.
So he
Yeah.
calms significantly when you say that, and then reminds you of what you actually overheard last time, which he was trying to explain to Marks or that Marks was explaining to him in secret. He now explains to you directly, which is that in Featherwand, at the Temple of Azul, the place with the totems, where Padam tried but failed to make the ascent.
Well, we got to bring the head up again.
There is one specific totem that Marks knows is the place to leave a message. And if you leave a message on the north-facing side of the southernmost totem, it will be, it's basically a drop spot. And it'll be picked up typically within an hour by a member of the cell. And it's the only way to send a communication to the cell that they are aware of. So to send this warning, you will need to leave a note. It is essentially, it's not a very fancy code, but you are to leave a note that is a prayer to Azul, but you are to put 2 Z's in Azul. So to intentionally misspell Azul, and then this will draw someone to you, basically, that you can make contact with. So having explained that and knowing that you are going to take care of this, his next concern is that you move as quickly as possible. So I'll just remind you, as you look at this little map on the screen, the journey from Saltmarsh Landing back to Featherwand by wagon was a day and a half. So you were able to, with Marks's help, make it just past the scrub pine forest and set up camp on the edge of it in one day, and then in less than half a day, just a few hours that next morning, make it all the way into Featherwand at a fairly comfortable pace. So if you were to go on foot and pushed yourselves, you could probably make it to Featherwand in a single day's travel. At this point, it's late afternoon, so you're talking about probably 12 hours on foot if you pushed yourselves. If you were able to find transportation, mounts, that would substantially reduce the time. With horses, I would say probably more like 4 hours time if you pushed yourself, assuming that things go well on the way.
Are there even horses available, I wonder? Well, we
Yeah,
can
let's
look
go
as
over
well.
to the stables and see if there is.
Can we even afford horses? Well, I
I
guess
think,
we'll
that we
see.
have, I think that we have money.
Oh,
They
okay.
do have money.
Definitely have cash on hand. It's not necessarily
Not our
more
cash,
money,
Not
but-
necessarily
but
our
you've got
cash, yeah.
that cash on hand. All right, so making your way back over to the stables, you find that there is good news and bad news. The good news is that there are horses stabled currently, enough for all of you to ride. Potom, you could easily ride double with anyone else. How fast does the Steel Defender move? Because the Steel Defender is always present, right? You don't like
Yeah.
summon it and dismiss it.
Correct.
So it
Medium
needs-
construct. He moves at 40 feet.
Okay. So you'll need to make accommodations for the Steel Defender in some way, because if you're going to ride, you'll be riding substantially faster
Mm-hmm.
than the Steel Defender can move, and I don't think the Steel Defender can ride a horse.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So then you're either looking about at a wagon or a cart pulled behind one of these horses, which will slow your party, or you're looking at some other option. But Potom, you could ride along with another one of your parties, so you're talking about 3 horses.
I mean, do we leave the Steel Defender with marks?
Yeah, is there like a range limitation? Can you just tell it to protect marks and
Well, I would. I guess that is up to the
DM?
DM on if I can just leave it with a base command of protection.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say there's some small element of risk there, because if you're not there to give it new commands, and if weird stuff happens, then I could imagine all kinds of interesting ways that goes wrong.
Yeah.
But
I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
yeah, it's not going to suddenly gain self-awareness, but it doesn't have the intelligence to interpret. So you're going to want to leave pretty simple and clear commands. Like, I'll just say, I think this would be obvious to Potom, so I'll just say it. But like, if you left a command like protect marks, that could get interpreted in a lot of ways if you're not there to
Right.
go, well, not from the wait staff,
Festina.
not
Yeah.
Right.
not from right. Like, what does that mean? So, yeah, is it? Would I be concerned about the range? No, but when you're out of range, you're not going to be able to edit what it's doing
Sure.
Does it only
or
listen
know what
to
it's
you?
doing.
Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, it is.
Yeah, you can't
So
tell
you
it to
can't
like.
give it a command to listen to marks?
I would draw the line there. I think you have
Okay.
a magical connection
Yeah.
there.
You could. I mean, it doesn't have to protect anybody. You could just say, "Stay here."
Yeah, hang
in the
out.
room.
You know,
Stay here.
play blackjack, whatever.
Alternatively, you could also tell it to head to Featherwand on its own,
Oh, sure.
and it would
will-
eventually catch up to you.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it would be,
Or we would
Hours
find it on
behind.
the. Or
Yeah.
we would find it on the way back if
or
we
you
were
would,
heading back.
or you would find it destroyed on the road,
Right.
Right.
We'll
If
just
it
have
had
to build a
been-
new one.
ambushed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
a newer, better one.
Actually, you know what? I think I kind of like that experiment. I'd like it to follow,
Okay.
just at its own pace.
That's fine. We can do that.
Well, we
all
don't
right.
even know if we have horses yet. So.
Right.
No,
Well,
we do.
so
We
as
have
I said,
horses.
good news, bad news. There are enough horses. The
Mhm.
bad news is
They're not.
not like public horses available for rent. The
No.
stable doesn't do
Mhm.
that. These are horses owned by someone
Sure.
here in town. And the owners, if with a quick conversation with the stable master, you find that the owners are essentially the mainland's version of like tabaxi postmen. So there are imperial couriers, which we've talked about before, which are elite, highly capable, whatnot. But the Tabaxi vassal state has long had its own postal system to send messages around, and it's basically Tabaxi on horseback who run messages back and forth. It's very informal, but more operated by each municipality is kind of the idea.
Well, maybe therein lies our answer.
We could
What
do
if
it
we
for
send
him.
a message to Lily via courier,
Okay,
and Lily leaves the message on the totem?
we could do that.
I'd be concerned about the message being intercepted because we have to give her pretty detailed instructions on like how to give the code.
We write the code and just tell Lily to leave that
Oh.
on
How do we tell
the
it?
totem.
We have a prayer. Can you put this prayer for us as we travel?
What if we just give her one of the communication stones? Or give the courier a communication stone. Man.
But then we lose it.
Isn't it? Wait,
Well,
isn't it
I
too
can
late?
always disenchant those stones and re-enchant new ones.
Okay.
Hey, that's a pretty good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Then we could just speak to her, right? Wait,
Well, we have
those
one
are those
chance.
limited?
What's the range on those? They're sending, right? Is it
Yeah.
a sending spell?
Uh-huh.
Well, then I think the sending spell's got plenty of range. I will just tell you, your plan has a number of risks.
They're all
because
risks, yeah.
You're
Well, anything we do has a number of risks.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we all go, we could run into that same blade party,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and then we have to explain what we're doing, all
Right.
rushing back to Featherwand.
Forgot something.
We decided we were going to take another cartload of dung back with us.
What's it to you?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Blades were mostly concerned that they found you out in the middle of the swamp,
Right.
near the hideout that they had just raided. I think it probably would have felt a little different had they found you on the main road with a cover story of being merchants.
Right.
Like, oh, here's merchants passing.
Which then wouldn't even probably seem curious at all if we're going back and forth on the main road.
All right.
do you
Let's
think?
see. Can we find the postal service and see if we can get some of these horses?
Yeah. So the stable master is able to direct you to someone who now is staying at the Beach Kraken. One of these couriers is around, who is a tabaxi with sort of bright orange fur, almost neon in color, who is looking pretty worn and exhausted. And you learn very briefly in conversation with him that his entire group just got in from a pretty long journey in the early hours of this morning. The other two are already asleep, but he really wanted some breakfast before he went to collapse for the night. He is not interested in running an urgent message right now. You could attempt to persuade him to do so if you wanted, but if you inquire about renting horses or borrowing his horses or whatever, we can talk about that. What's the angle you're taking with this guy once you find him?
I thought we were asking for horses.
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah,
asking
if
for
he's
horses.
not going to run a message, then we're asking for horses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. He
Could I? So, well, I want to roll a persuasion check. Is basically what.
Yeah, you,
I don't know if
you
you
will
wanna-
need to,
Yeah.
but I will say he immediately asks for two things. He's not opposed to it. You catch a glint in his eye pretty quickly, like I might make some money here. They're
It's
trying
a side hustle.
There's an urgency here.
There's a mark.
There's a mark. Yeah. He asks for two things. He says, if you're looking for 3 horses, he wants a 20 gold piece deposit on each of the horses, and he wants 10 gold pieces for the privilege of renting them. So you would put forward 70 gold pieces, 60 of which you would get back upon the safe return of their horses. And he says, and they need to be back here by sundown tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we've got other messages to run.
And you said by horse, how long would it take us to get to
About
Featherwing?
4 hours.
4 hours if you're
okay.
uninterrupted.
And we just had a nice long rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're feeling fresh.
If you're uninterrupted.
Right.
So are we gonna have to dip into our outside funds in order to do this?
No, I
we
have.
don't.
Am I the only poor one? Okay.
Yeah, no, we can do that. I can just let me just put it up, and it's not going into our funds with that.
Can someone remind me what the funds are that we have to give back when we?
I think I have it 100 platinum.
Yeah.
Okay.
One
and
person
I'm
was
holding it.
responsible for that.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I have
holding it.
personally, I have 5 platinum.
I have, and additionally to the 100 platinum that is for that, I have 83 gold pieces.
I have
so.
Okay.
4.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Oh well. I don't know what you do with all your money. Seriously.
Gamble it.
Interesting.
Seriously.
Where does all of your money go?
Gambling.
I'll
That's.
just. I think it's fine. We'll just give him 10 gold pieces for that is fine. Hopefully we can get the horses back in time. If not,
Well, we
and
don't
in one
need
piece.
4. We just need 3 horses.
4. Yeah.
yeah, 3 horses. So 60 plus 10.
I got 20
Mhm.
each. Got it. Yeah.
Okay, so you hand over 70 gold pieces. He looks very pleased and scribbles a quick note for you to give to the stable master and goes back to his breakfast.
Okay.
Anything you are going to do before you jump on horses and roll out?
Times of the essence.
Yeah.
Right? I think
Yeah,
we
let's
should
do
just
it.
get going.
Well, do we need a little food or something? Can we get some
do we-
food?
I'd like to
Give
stop into the general quick and just see what they have for
Yeah.
healing potions.
Okay. You run into the general store. The proprietor greets you, and if you immediately ask about potions of healing, it does have one available. Is priced at 55 gold.
And it's just a potion of healing. It's not.
Just a potion of healing.
Oh,
That's what he's got.
They're expensive.
they are expensive.
I've tried to buy one in the past.
They are magical vials of liquid that miraculously heal your wounds. So
Yeah, well, there is that.
All right. We'll go for it. 55.
okay. You acquire one potion of healing.
What's the?
I am now poor again.
Is that just like a D8 or something?
That's how I like you guys. I believe a potion of healing is 2d4 plus 4 or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
I'll have to look again, but
Well, that's all right at least.
it can be very disappointing or it can be pretty decent.
Yeah.
But the regular ones are not like save. Yeah.
2d4 plus 2.
There you go. Yeah.
That sounds
They're-
right.
They're more for like get you back up when you're down kind
Sure.
of moments.
Sure.
Okay. So equipped. Are we now rolling out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You hit the road. Let me ask this. I'm gonna let you choose basically 3 levels of haste here. You can move slowly and carefully, which will allow you to move with the greatest stealth, the greatest level of awareness of things that might be in your path, and will provide the best care to the horses. You can move at a normal pace, which is essentially the pace you would take anytime you were traveling cross country, or you can push yourselves and the horses. If you do that, you will be less likely to spot things before they spot you, and you will also have a small risk of injury to the horses.
Let's go at normal pace. I think we can cover that.
Because that'll still.
Airboats are
Worse.
fast, but that's because air is reckless.
If we go at the
And-
normal pace, that's still like a 4-hour between us and Featherwind-ish. We're not adding like
Yeah.
a day.
I mean, I'm gonna roll some dice to see how quickly you can actually move. Actually, you're gonna roll some dice to see how quickly you can actually move. But yeah, I
We
mean,
can always change
it took.
pace too.
If you were
Yeah.
if you were pushing yourself hard on foot, I think you think it would take you about 12 hours. This is a trip you've only made once, so you don't have perfect ability to predict this. But
Okay.
these are all ballpark numbers.
I say, yeah.
So a normal pace is
We
the
can
plan.
start that way, yeah.
Okay. Then I would like you to decide. I need 3 people to roll dice. One of you is going to roll a perception die. That's going to be your lookout who's running point
I have
to
plus
see what's
6
up
on
ahead.
that.
One of you is going to roll a stealth check to see how quietly you move and what notices you. And one of you is going to roll a survival check to see how fast you actually move.
I do have
across this
+2
journey.
on survival.
Do
I
it.
have,
I'll
I
roll-
have
I'll
plus
roll-
6 on perception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I roll stealth.
Okay.
Cool.
So let me have the survival check first.
Survival, well, it's a 10, so 12.
12. Okay. We have the stealth check next, please.
11.
11, and the perception check.
Very
Please.
average
11.
rolls.
11. Okay.
Okay.
So y'all move at an average pace.
We're
with
so
average.
average.
Middle
You,
of the
move,
road.
you proceed down the road very averagely. Your mediocrity knows no bounds. So, as you ride down the dirt path through the marshes, the memories of your first trip, which were only a couple days ago, come back to you very quickly. The landscape is obviously the same, but the weather has turned a little bit. In this late autumn, there's a squall kind of rolling through at your back from the ocean. It's not pleasant travel, and you make okay time, but there is sort of a steady drizzle at your back as you ride forward. You quickly outpace the Steel Defender, which is chugging along in your rearview mirror, and you do seem to be making okay time. It's probably about you're seeing the sun starting to set as you come upon the ruins where you were previously ambushed. So it's probably in the ballpark of 6 p.m. at that point. And as you continue to push on, you dive deep into the scrub pine forest almost immediately. And you ride through there for some time. I'm going to roll my dice now and see if we have some fun in this part of the ride. You ride through the scrub pines and at one point do hear the sound of something kind of crashing through the brush off to your right. But you continue to ride and it does not make its way to the path. It is not something you actually encountered. Something was out there, maybe those bears you met before or maybe something else, but it didn't seem interested in getting any closer to you. At this point, the sun has fully set, and you've made it about to the place where you had previously set up camp with Marks. It is probably 8 o'clock in the evening, and it is just past dusk. The sun is fully behind the horizon. Ahead of you, it has disappeared behind the mountains. Are we continuing to ride?
Yeah.
Pando's
Yeah.
not tired.
Yeah. Onward.
Okay. One last roll. Horses are fine, which is good. No one turns a hoof on a rock in the dark or anything like that. 1 hour later, you see Featherwand in the distance and make your way down the slope of the hill. No, afternoon. Afternoon. You can have some actual lunch. And you ride into Featherwand. It is now about 9 o'clock at night. There are not a lot of people out, but there's some nightlife in Featherwand. There's some people moving
nightlife.
about. It's not totally quiet. Well, what are you doing? You've made it to Featherwand.
Gotta go straight to the
Yeah.
post our
Mission
Straight up
Focus.
there.
Okay. You ride straight to the Temple of Azul.
I'd like to keep a lookout as we approach the totems.
Okay. Make a perception check.
Yeah, see, yeah.
5. I'd like to put my dice in the dunce chair.
Yeah. The coast looks clear to you. There's not a lot of people up here near the temple, although you do see what you assume to be maybe candlelight or some small torchlight coming from the inside of the temple. I'll just remind you, the temple is a round marble building
Yeah.
with a domed roof. It's a very simple structure with a single entrance on the north side. But what makes it stand out are these very tall totem pillars that are spaced about 20 feet away on all sides of the building. And yeah, like I said, there's a little bit of light coming from inside the building.
Okay.
I would like to roll investigation, just for it to look at the surface of where we're supposed to be putting the note.
Okay.
See what it looks like. It looks like it's been.
All right. So
Do
you
you
head
want me
over.
to write the note?
Oh, sure. I guess we have to write the note that way.
Wait, you have some paper, don't you?
I sure do.
I can write the note with
And if
2 Z's.
if it's requiring a clause to climb, we can grab Lily.
True. True.
So the
Just,
instructions you were given was that it does not have to be like 40 feet up or anything
Okay.
like
Just
that. It just has to be on the
North
specific
side.
on the north
Yeah.
side of the southernmost
Mhm.
pillar. So roll an investigation check if you'd like to take a closer look at the.
And
place
I
where
will
you're
assist
mentioning.
him with that.
Don't even need. No,
Yeah,
21.
apparently not.
21.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah, upon closer inspection, you note an interesting difference about this particular patch of space on the totem. While almost, not every other place, but a lot of other places on the totems, there's like scraps of paper left behind, things like that. So like picture a like a dorm room bulletin board, or on any like city street corner, wooden light posts that have had lots
Right.
of flyers stapled up
Yeah.
to them over the years, and there's little scraps and bits and stuff stuck in it. A lot of these a lot of parts of this totem look like that, except this one patch has been kept relatively clean of that. Not that that necessarily means anything, but it is enough for you to kind of feel like this is the exact spot we put this. Like, probably matters that you
Right.
put it in a very specific spot.
Okay. We post it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We post it.
Yeah. What does the note say?
What does the note say?
It-
Prayer to Azul
So,
for good fortune and safe passage.
We have to say more than that, though, right? We have to, like,
Just
that's
write
just
to-
a
2
Z's.
Z's.
right.
So-
So I thought my understanding was
and
that
then it will attract somebody to us.
right, but we have to actually put the substance of the note into it, right? The substance of the message. So we have to like.
Well,
no.
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 No, we
The
don't.
note is
This
meant
is
to
just an
draw someone to
attractor.
talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
Yeah. So very, very basic with 2 Z's.
Yeah.
I was
This
gonna
is just
have
like a
fun time coding
beacon.
into-
So I'm going to ask that is anybody in here proficient in religion?
Nope.
I'm not proficient in it, but I have a pretty good understanding of it.
I have a +2.
Then no.
Where is it?
So same as real life.
Plus
It's down
one.
at the bottom. It's down near the bottom of your skills, 4th up from the bottom. I have a +4.
I have a +0.
But I do have good at deception, investigation, persuasion.
This is not a huge deal, but I am going to ask Pando, you said you were writing the note, so I'm going to ask you to roll a religion check at disadvantage
Okay.
because you are not proficient, and you've really not been on the mainland,
Right.
and you don't know much about
I'm all
Azul.
like-
So
Dear God, it's me, Panda.
basically, what this is if someone who knew Azul
Yeah.
read this prayer, would they be like,
This is.
"What?
I mean-
This person has no idea what Azul is."
Could I do an investigation check and just kind of read some of the other prayers that are up there?
No, I think we're on this now.
No,
I think we're just
okay.
you wrote the note. We're moving.
Roll twice, take
Roll
lowest.
twice, take the lowest.
Okay.
Not that one. Okay. We'll go with 5.
With a 5. Okay. So what you write and post is the equivalent of somebody saying like, "Our Father who art around,
Maybe.
hallowed, yada yada."
Again, like
Right.
real life.
I mean, you're nice and all.
Yeah.
Throw some like.
Help.
You're pretty
Hey,
cool.
big guy,
Yeah.
look out for me up there.
Sup?
I like the robes.
All right. So after you post this up, it's posted. What do you do?
Go find Lily.
You guys were talking
Airs.
about that spiced milk drink. I kind of want to try.
Oh yeah, you didn't get to, did you?
Mm.
Air sticks around.
Okay.
You're gonna kind of watch.
Yeah.
Like where?
She's not
Like
gonna.
right-
she's not
like right
trying.
in front of
She's
it?
not trying to be. She's gonna stick around in the square or around the temple. She's not gonna try to make it look like she's hiding.
Staking
or
it out?
anything. Yeah, yeah. She's just like very clearly like
Can
waiting.
we go somewhere to grab a drink that we would still have eyes on that space but not be close?
There's not like outdoor cafes or anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, were you standing outside the inn and tavern here? Like if you were standing out on the front steps of the inn and tavern, you could see the temple, but it's not close. So
I just
the answer
don't-
is kind of no.
Well, and I don't think that all 4 of us should just be standing around
Right.
staring at it.
Right.
So,
Also, I want to believe that if they have this intricate of a setup, somebody already knows that we're posting something here.
Right. Maybe they have someone who's always like directed to watch in case.
So let's go someplace where if we were to meet someone, it would be inconspicuous and it would just look natural.
Right. Sui Tavern, are you coming?
I don't think it's a terrible idea if you just kind of watch. We don't know.
Sure.
We don't know if somebody is around watching or not, you know?
I was gonna go post up, lean up against a building, pull
Yeah.
out my Marzen drops, which I've been holding on to
Nice.
for how many weeks?
Nice
now?
callback. It's candy time.
That sounds
Put
great.
the hood up.
All right,
I
good.
think that's
And the
good.
rest of you are headed
Over
to the tavern.
To
Yeah.
the tavern, yeah.
Maybe they'll skip me entirely and just go to you guys.
True.
Could happen. All right. So you all head to the tavern. Fun news, you see Lily inside.
Hey, girl.
She is bussing tables. So clearly she has found herself at least part-time work here. And you settle in and grab a tiny pewter chalice of fermented milk drink of the flavor of your preference. It is not a super rowdy night here in the tavern tonight. This is the equivalent of a weeknight. So you've got that kind of crowd in here. There's some people who are passing through. There's business travelers, that kind of thing. Maybe 1 or 2 folks who you'd find in a tavern on a Tuesday night.
The dedicated.
The lifers. And Air, I'd like you to roll a stealth check for me, please.
Bet.
I know you're not literally hiding, but this is sort of a hiding in plain sight stealth check.
20. Not natural.
Excellent. Okay.
Maybe she has like one of those long pipes that you see Gandalf. So.
I was totally picturing like when Aragorn is in like the corner,
yeah.
and all you
Yeah,
see is that. That is totally what I'm
that's
picturing
exactly
of you.
subconsciously. That's exactly what I was thinking. of.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
1000% that is canon. You're leaning against a building, your face
Right,
only
right, yeah.
occasionally
Right.
illuminated by
Right,
the
right.
coals in
Yes.
your pipe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just for fun, you don't have to roll for this. I think Erin knows how to blow smoke rings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just add that to
Yeah,
her.
different shaped
yeah.
ones, even.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, creatures, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
About an hour passes as you wait, and you do see. What's your passive perception?
Terrible. 10. She's.
Okay.
She thinks she's much more perceptive than she is.
Yeah, you keep eagle eyes locked on this totem.
Yeah.
Um,
She
But
looks
I-
away for a second, She spills some embers on her foot, and she. and
Oh,
then
I
all of a
know you're
sudden,
not a tabaxi.
and there's
Well, and again, 10 is average, right? So think of a 10. I usually think of a 10 as like, what if I were doing this,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? And I'm not a total moron, but I'm not also somebody you'd probably like want on your side in a fight with
yeah.
monsters, right? So you hang out for a while. About an hour passes. A few people go by. A late arriving wagon rolls into town and trundles past you. And then about an hour after you've kind of posted up here, you notice that the already fairly dim candlelight and torchlight inside the temple becomes substantially dimmer. Like maybe there's only one candle left or something like that. It's hard to know. But the light gets dimmer. It's still light, but dimmer. And then a shadowed figure comes out of the temple and moves in the direction of the totem where you left your message. At this point, if you'd like to roll a perception check,
Sure.
I will allow that.
Wow. Okay, I'm not gonna get any good rolls for the rest of this today
Maybe you're saving them up.
because they are all been good so far. 19.
Okay. So you can see immediately that this
God help us if we have combat.
this person, we're playing all day.
Right.
There better be combat.
How
Talk
mad
our
will
way
you
out of
be
this situation.
if we de-escalate literally everything in the next like?
A dragon is going to show up. There are no dragons in Tellus, but if you
There-
do that,
Except for
one
me.
one will
Dragon
arrive.
But maybe a wyvern or something.
A true dragon is going to show up. If you don't get into combat, a true dragon is going to show up from a different dimension.
Just
Is
bend
going to
the rules.
land on you and do things. All right.
Everybody's going to the multiverse.
Okay. So as this figure approaches, the clouds part just enough. A little bit of moonlight comes through. You catch a pretty good look. This is a robed acolyte of the temple who has come out, and they move. They think they're being circumspect and move around to a couple of the other totems, gathering up prayers, right? As if this is a part of their regular routine.
Oh, like removing them?
Yeah, they remove the prayers as they're gathering them up to bring them into
Sure.
the temple. You would assume,
Oh, sure.
but they move with purpose towards the one that you left, and you notice that there's a different approach to. They don't just tear it off; they carefully remove what the pin you've used to place it in there, or the little tack or whatever you used, and then they roll that up and place it in a pocket. For the others, they're just holding in a sheaf, a pile in their hands. And then they start moving back towards the temple.
We wouldn't see this.
No,
No,
you're
we
all
have
in the
to stare.
tavern. This is just
Yeah.
air seeing this.
The temple's open to the public, right?
Well, I mean,
Ostensibly.
as far as you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Air's gonna follow
Okay.
into the temple.
Sneaky follow? Just
no,
walk
casual.
right in?
Yeah, like
Okay.
a member of the public.
Cool. Yeah, so you start walking towards the entrance to the temple. When you step inside, so the inside of the Temple of Azul it's interesting. There is no furniture in here. It's basically an empty space. But the entirety of this, what you imagine is a beautiful marble floor, is covered in rugs. Layers and layers of rugs of all different sizes, shapes, and colors and materials. And the acolyte that you saw moving around outside is the only person in this building right now. The temple is large-ish. It's probably a 100-foot diameter
Oh, okay.
space. And this acolyte is sitting cross-legged facing away from you, nearly in the center of the room on this pile. There are just 2 torches in sconces on the walls that are lit right now. There's a dozen sconces all around the room. If you didn't know better, you would say that the acolyte was meditating.
Mhm.
But it seems unlikely to you, since they walked in here about 10 seconds before you did,
Mhm.
that they're in a deep state of contemplation.
Air's gonna go and meditate next to him, but not too next, but close
Okay.
enough that they would be able to exchange whispers, but not so close to be like on top of them.
Well, as you walk into the temple, the ears twitch back, and the
They
acolyte
are ears.
rises and turns to face you and says, in sort of a very quiet, whispered purr, "Welcome, traveler, to the Temple of Azul. Do you require our services?"
Air. I suppose he has no idea who I am. I guess, or he wouldn't know that we were the ones that posted it. I see. I'm trying to like accelerate things because I think it's important that time's ticking by here. Air says, we share a mutual friend. Sorry to intrude. We share a mutual friend.
Mm.
She's just gonna kind of force the issue.
Okay. Let's see.
So an extra roll, or not really? I guess I'm not lying or anything or whatever.
No,
Yeah.
no. I was just curious if there'd be what their reaction might be. So I wanted a little randomness there. The acolytes.
Time. I also mentioned time is of the essence.
Yes. The acolyte takes a small step back and looks a little nervous and says, "A mutual friend, you say? I'm afraid I don't understand."
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me you just go, mm-hmm.
Shoot, what's the guy's name? It's Marks, and then what's the
Hey,
Hade.
So I'll remind you, Hade has never interacted with this cell.
Oh,
Marks is the only one who has ever done this.
Oh, right.
Marks was telling Hade so that Hade could make the run.
Right.
Mhm.
But they were interrupted before that could happen.
So
Yeah.
he would know Marks, but he wouldn't know Hade.
You know of Marks, maybe. Maybe. Who
If-
knows? Who knows?
If this is the person you imagine
Right.
it to be, then
Yeah.
he may have interacted with Marks, or maybe the system works different.
Who knows? Yeah, there could be. Yeah,
But it certainly wouldn't
multiple.
be Hade. I'll just
Okay.
say that.
Well, then, yeah. The air says we're close. I believe we share. We both call Marks a friend.
So when you say Marx's name,
Mhm.
the Tabaxi seems to relax just a bit
Mhm.
and says, "Ah, yes, Marx has been a patron of the temple for many years. He often comes to leave prayers. He's most faithful.
Right.
How do you know Marx?"
I actually ignored the question,
Okay.
and Air instead goes. She says something like, "Yes, Marx leaves a lot of prayers to Azul." Emphasis on the Z's. Azul. We're wishing to do the same thing. We hope to also get a message to Azul. And then I also press that but quickly.
Gotcha. Make a persuasion check.
Finally.
There is, yeah. So, well, let me offer this. If you would like, you could first make an insight check.
Oh, sure.
But
Actually.
there is a risk reward. I will just tell you here.
Okay.
So if you roll poorly on the insight check, I'm going to tell you something, and you need to move forward as if that's what you think is true. If you roll well on the insight check, I will tell you something, and that will give you some advantage in what is going on here.
Oh, jeez.
So it's a risk. There's risk reward here, or you can just take a stab at how you're approaching this and roll the persuasion check.
I'll just roll the persuasion.
Because this kitty is thinking something right now, and how you approach this will determine how they act.
Air thinks every minute is like
Okay.
it could be
Go
threatening
for it.
to.
Just make a
dozens of people,
persuasion
yeah.
check then.
17.
Good.
So with a 17,
I know. I thought my luck was gonna run out there.
there is a long pause, and then the acolyte looks back at you and says, "It is not impossible that you, an elf, or at least one with elf blood,
hmm
are here with ill intent, and I am anxious to introduce you to the mysteries of Azul.
Mhm.
However,
Well, he's already shown his
Marx is trusted,
card.
and if this is as urgent as you seem to be suggesting, I suggest that you go to the bar and place an order for a prickly sandbox. If I am wrong in this, it will likely cost me my life.
Air tips her hat, says "Thank you, friend," and then heads out.
All right, you dash out the door. In the
I
meantime,
need to kill you now.
in the meantime, the three of you are hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Drinking.
You have a nice drink. I don't know how many. It's been an hour and a half probably by the time Air stumbles in or races in to the tavern. I don't know how many drinks you've had in that amount of time or what.
I'm a sipper.
Yeah.
Just completely on the floor,
Right.
under the table.
Got a really drunk dragonborn.
That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious as like a personality quirk. You're like, I'm a sipper, and then I just come completely over.
I've sipped on 12 now.
Right.
I didn't tell you how fast I said.
All right, so you are now all back together in the tavern
'Kay.
with the information that you have available to you.
Yeah, Air makes eye contact with them as she walks into the bar, but it makes a beeline for the bar, the
Okay.
actual bar, and puts the order in for a prickly sandbox.
Okay. The bartender looks at you really confused, and then shouts over their shoulder to another bartender who's on staff.
Did I stutter?
Do you know how to make a prickly sand? And about halfway through that statement, the other bartender goes, yeah, and loudly interrupts, and then races over. This is, again, a tabaxi.
Mhm.
This one, Calico.
Pretty.
Very pretty. And she sort of leans over, mocks seductively over the bar and says, a prickly sandbox is what you're looking for?
Yeah.
That'll be 5 gold.
Wait, you
Are
only
we
have
within
4.
earshot
Yeah.
of this in the bar?
I don't know, are you?
I feel like
We'll just,
can I roll something?
I would
See if I
imagine
can
that
hear?
once Air walks in, that we were probably all at a
Yeah,
Now,
Watching.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm just wondering if I can hear this.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Guys,
Are you
he
broke?
doesn't have any
I
money.
want
He's
to.
broke.
Well, I'll use it as like I'll just roll with it though. I put 4 down because that's all I have. And I mentioned like, look, listen, I only have 4, but time is of the essence here. I just like I'm trying to get through this.
Okay.
We're gonna save lives today.
You don't need to roll anything here. She kind of quirks her head to the side and goes, "We don't do lines of credit here.
Give me a half.
Why don't you come around back? You can haul a few sacks of grain for me that I don't want to move myself. Come with me." And she leaves your gold on the counter and walks out a side door that you can see over there.
Air picks the gold back up actually.
Sure, yeah. 100%.
after she starts to step away. Just
No, we're good.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Thanks.
Oh, that's not cool. Okay.
All right, so Just Air is heading out.
Oh no, I will
I mean,
definitely
I
get
feel
up.
I feel
and
like
follow.
we
No,
see them going out.
Okay.
I don't want to spook, right, the calico, but also if this is the conversation, we should be there.
All right, so you move out the door, and the rest of you are not far behind.
Or yeah, I even motioned to them like.
Okay. So she sees that, and then her tail goes up just a little bit. This is obviously making
Sure.
her nervous now. But you're essentially now in the dark alley behind the inn and tavern, and she looks at all of you and says, "If you need to talk to somebody, you're going to have to move quickly. What is this about?"
Our mutual friends are in grave danger, and we need to get a message to them.
A neighbor cell has been compromised.
Okay, she looks confused by that, but the mention of friends being in danger, she says, "Well, I can't go anywhere right now, but if you can warn them, I can give you directions." And she pulls out a sort of scrap of paper and hastily scribbles a map that gives you a sense of where the Yokogawa hideout is located. So you will be traveling a ways to the hideout through an area that is not quite the wastelands, but past Featherwand, you're no longer in an area of scrub pine or marsh. The landscape gets dry and rocky pretty quickly. You know, well, a few of you maybe know, I would say mostly Pando is familiar with this because you've done some actual formal education and probably learned some geography. But west of Featherwand, the landscape in the mainland gets progressively less and less hospitable until there's sort of a set of low mountains, probably more like rocky foothills, past which is an area known as the Badlands, which is a vast expanse of desert, basically. Not like dunes desert, but like rocky, arid plains where very little can live.
Death Valley, like.
Yeah, kind of like that, except big, geographically big. A few caravans do attempt to make their way across the Badlands, but at great peril, and only because it cuts literally weeks off the journey to some trade destinations.
So there's stuff beyond.
There's stuff beyond. So
Okay.
if you picture on the map we're looking at, again, imagine that this is a very small section of the coast of China. So as you head in further and further west, you basically get away from the coast and things get really arid and dry really quickly. And you're not really sure how big the Badlands is, but it's big. Based on the map that you see, the Yokogawa headquarters, and there's enough landmarks here, and she gives you enough guidance that you feel relatively confident you can get there. Although at this point it is almost midnight. So navigating in the dark may invite some challenges. But it is on horseback, probably only a couple hours ride. On foot, probably 4 or 5 hours march, maybe a little more. And it is nearly on the edge of the Badlands. So the hideout is in some of those rocky foothills.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got information. She looks at all of you and says, I mean, none of you are Tabaxi, and so she's a little uncomfortable about this, and she says, "Well, you knew the password, and I don't know you, but if the danger is as real as you say, I hope you can help. My friends and family are out there."
You know, Lily can vouch for us too.
I just met Lily today, so that doesn't help at all.
But
She seems nice.
Yeah, she seems nice.
I've
Not
got
all
a-
Tabaxis know each other, okay?
Okay.
So racist.
But they all look alike.
She looks at you and says, I've got to get back or it'll draw attention. The speed of Azul will go with you. And then she ducks back in and leaves you in the alley.
Should we keep our horses here?
No, I think,
No, I think we
should
need to
take
use
the
them.
horses.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, either at this point we own these horses.
Well, we
Right,
put the
exactly.
deposit down, didn't we?
Right.
We got till sunset.
Or
Sunset tomorrow, yeah.
Sunset tomorrow.
do just want to throw it out there that we could just press on the message to the bartender that we were just talking about or talking with, and then we've done our part.
But Air wants to pick a fight with someone.
Oh, we're gonna be fighting someone at some point.
I mean, I am happy to go along with whatever we decide to do. I'm just pointing out
That there
That
are
we-
people here who
Right.
could.
we have fulfilled what we
Said we would
are
do.
obligated to do.
Yeah.
How much of this are we going to make our fight? Yet we have our own goals and agendas.
I do feel like
Weird. It's almost like you've come to a crossroads
I know, right?
where your characters are being asked to decide if they are part of the Yokogawa or not.
Right.
Again.
Again.
I kind of feel like we are, but we're on the outside of it.
We enjoy being independent contractors.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
We're friendly to the cause, but
Absolutely.
We're cell stores, let's be honest.
Yeah. And that's like something Panda's been reconciling with. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. There's something noble about protecting
first
these
time
individuals.
Air wants to be noble.
Yes, she also too.
we're all growing.
Everybody's
We're
growing
all
and changing.
growing.
So I'll just remind you logistically, and
Yeah.
you again make your
Yep.
decisions based on what you think your characters would do and where you want the story to go. You continue to talk about how time is of the essence. That's because you do not know when this strike is going to happen. The original plan was for Haid to race here to provide this warning. Now nearly 20 hours ago was
Yeah.
when this was meant. The message was meant to be delivered.
We're already behind.
And this bartender that you just talked about told you she cannot leave
Yeah.
right now in the middle of her shift or it will draw too much attention, and told you about the location of the hideout assuming that you were going to go. So you definitely have, like, everything you're saying is true, that the message is delivered
Yep.
and you could go. Just know that if you do, the message you would be able to say now that message wouldn't make it to this hideout for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, even if this bartender abandoned her shift and headed out on her own at midnight into the Badlands to deliver the message. So you don't know much about this cell or how it's equipped or whether it's going to be able to stand up against whatever's coming.
We don't even know if it's already been attacked.
Good,
in
but
some
we'll
way.
we'll find out.
Yeah, it may already have been wiped out.
Or
Like
if
there's a
we
lot
are
of
able to be equipped to
right.
stand up to some.
Oh,
what
we
I
can always
imagine
run.
would battle mages.
Right.
We can always run.
Yeah,
Although
no idea.
we could have killed those other blades. But whatever.
It's hard to say.
Hard to say.
So that's just the situation. You believe that there is a significant size force of blades coming for this hideout. You believe that it is a bigger cell than the other one because that's something that was talked about. And you believe that the warning is now almost a day later than it was intended to be delivered. But that's what you know.
How can you put a price on life?
Well, I also think too,
Errors.
if we are friends with the Yokogawa, if we are friends of them, we should
They've
really
done well. They've done
yeah,
well. by
we
us,
should
right?
really follow through with this. And we have our connection to, is it Wadi Hanzo, who we're
Yeah.
taking the stuff to.
Marx has done
you
well.
know,
He's
he's
done
gonna-
good by us, and
Yeah, he's gonna want us.
Stima.
It's gonna pave the way for things to be easier in any way if we go.
Maybe we'll get a good
Discount.
or IOU out of this.
Yeah. Or some of the platinum that I'm
Is
carrying.
it his? I was gonna say, is it his money that we're carrying?
Yes.
It's
I
for
think
the Yokogawa.
it's their money.
Yeah. It's,
Our money if we're going in and
Well, you renegotiate when you get there.
right.
Alex, you're not convinced.
This is not Dung Simulator, okay? We want.
Yeah.
All I am saying is that at this point we are crossing a threshold.
We are.
Something that
Yeah.
wasn't originally in our agenda. So are we making this our agenda?
For the time being.
I mean,
Considerable risk to life, limb, and eyesight.
yeah.
Oh, well.
that's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And we don't. Not that this should be our only motivation, but we're not. There's no reward other than the noble reward of saving people, right?
Fortune favors the bold.
Air really wants to go.
I don't disagree that we run a risk of them not getting the message if we don't go ourselves. It just is above and beyond what we said we would do. And if we, as a group, want to make a bigger fight alongside the Yokogawa, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. That just changes our.
I think
Goal.
we're stepping around the issue a little bit here because the truth is we're already with the Yokogawa.
Yeah.
We've done so much with them already. And the first mission we ever did, we slaughtered a bunch of blades in
Yeah.
the warehouse for them.
But that was for a payday.
Sure.
That
Well,
wasn't.
we're hoping that
was,
maybe this can be a little bit of a payday too at the end of the day if we. And it's
right.
the right
Well,
thing
the
to
terms were set there. This is
do. Yeah.
What's my
This
suggestion?
is just our choice now.
this is just our choice now.
Yeah.
Which again, if we choose to go, I will go with you.
Air didn't sign up to be a poop merchant forever.
Okay. We haven't even really started our poop merchant life. No, I mean,
24 hours of poop merchanting is enough to
Wow.
all she wanted.
yeah.
Oh, sure, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Pando can certainly be, convinced to go. She thinks it's the right thing to do to support these people. She's getting sick of seeing the blades just being disgusting with their power, and she's not happy with the system as it stands. Just thinking through the fact that, like, this is really us deciding to do this because it's what we feel is the right thing. Like, it's not a mission, it's not a pay. Like, we're all just deciding we're going to go and help these people because it's right. As opposed to kidnapping somebody,
Right.
which is what we've done
was fine.
before.
She was fine. She turned out fine.
It may not have ended that way.
She's probably still fine. Who
She's
knows?
not
You guys left her in a
traumatized.
salt cave.
Yeah, she's great.
She's probably fine.
Totally still alive.
Let's nothing bad happens to rich and wealthy connected people.
Right.
It's fine.
Right. She might think it was bad,
Oh,
but
my goodness.
I'm for going.
I'll go.
Yeah. I'm okay being connected with the Yokogawa.
Do I see elephants on that screen?
I hope not.
They look like mastodons almost.
That would surprise me.
Right there.
Oh, look at that.
Really hoping that that's what we're gonna run into.
I mean, who could say?
We'll make this
Oh, yeah.
map available to our Patreon supporters.
Yeah, definitely. Be sure you like and subscribe if you want to get a sneak peek behind the scenes
Mastodon.
of the podcast. Okay, so do we have a group decision? What is happening next?
I think Aries. I think
It is
we're
just
going
past
here.
midnight.
Going around to our horses. We're gonna head out.
was loving this side of air and wanting to just
Maybe Air's finding a purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right, so you're gathering up your horses and you're heading out.
It's like, this is a massive mistake.
I have the same question as last time. It is a little more important. The risks are higher this time.
Mm.
Are you moving slowly and carefully as you proceed out into the dark in an area you have never been before, off of any kind of road, and trying to find this hideout? Are you proceeding at a normal pace, or are you pushing yourselves and your horses?
This time maybe we go.
Go
a little carefully.
faster.
Oh, go faster? Oh, okay.
Definitely. I was gonna say if we're going, then we should
better
we
go.
should go.
We
Okay,
should go.
then let's.
Okay.
I think we should go.
Then I need.
Alex is trying to show us why it was a bad choice.
Right.
I'll show this group.
I, as a player, don't believe that this is a bad choice. I, as a player, am delighted in that we're going out to play. Panem, on the other hand, again, is not quite convinced that the Yokogawai is the horse that he would like to hitch himself to, because he, again, has an agenda. But
Well, you know,
there's the clarification, which
There's
is
a-
why I'm talking in this voice and not this voice.
All right, so I need a perception check, a stealth check, and a survival check. Who's making my survival? Oh, and I want different people to do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Switch it
what were
up.
the,
for
what
me.
were
I
the
have
three?
a plus
Stealth,
2 survival.
perception, and survival.
I'll do the perception check.
Oh, sorry, I have a plus 4 survival.
Okay,
Oh,
so
good.
Pando, why don't you make the survival check first?
Oh, Panda's drunk.
I
5.
told you. I took a lot of sips.
I'm just a sipper.
Perception check.
Panda's gonna get us all killed.
You guys, I think this way's
14.
west.
And
Who,
then
stealth check?
stealth.
Perfect for you.
Perfect for me. 19.
Oh,
Excellent. Okay.
Perfect for
I'll have you know.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Oh, one other thing I will tell you is that Potom, you
What,
Can I help you?
Oh yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh,
I'm just sticking stuff in,
I was-
twisting it.
Potom, you can sense that your steel defender is getting closer
Oh,
Oh,
to
right.
you. So while you can't get an exact bead on where it is within the range that you can sense it again, which you're going to guess at its top movement speed means maybe in a couple hours it'll be in Featherwand. The problem that you face is you gave it instructions to follow you to Featherwand,
Mhm.
where it could be on a road and just follow the road until it gets to this town.
right.
You are about to head off-road through the wilderness to a destination that this thing doesn't know. So you have a decision to make. The decision is either wait in town until your steel defender arrives within range so you can give it different instructions, or it will make it to Featherwand and then it will just hang out.
I think at this point, it just has to make it to Featherwand
Right.
and hang out.
Okay?
Time is
Maybe
of the
give
essence.
Lily a heads up so she can watch for it.
Yeah, except that Lily won't be able to command it.
No,
Nothing she
that's
can do
true.
about it. She can spot it.
Yep.
Matt, do you have another glass?
Yeah, lots of glasses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for
Can we
anyone
pause for just a
interested-
Okay, so based on the rolls that you just shared, we had a pretty good stealth and perception roll. So the good news is you do not run afoul. No, you do not run afoul of any critters or problems or roaming troops of blades as you make your way along. It is dark and you are in unfamiliar territory, but you do manage to keep an eye out for potential problems, and you believe you're moving quietly enough to not be noticed. The bad news is that your friend Pando has taken the lead here to guide you in the wilderness,
I got this.
and you have entered a really new ecosystem. And so once again, like when you first set foot on the mainland, you find yourself sort of overwhelmed by the nature around you and the feeling of the wildness that you are connecting to, and quite a few times find yourself distracted by new flora or fauna and just kind of the feel of this whole place. And so unfortunately you find yourself off course on your way. At this point, we're going to do a group survival check to see if you all can come together to get you back on track. But this cost you some time. as you got off course. So I'd like everyone to roll a survival check, please. Hang on just a second while
Yeah, I'm keeping my
before
roll.
you start yelling. out
Yeah,
numbers.
right. I can re-roll.
No, don't re-roll.
No,
But
I'm
before you
just
start
kidding.
yelling out numbers. Okay. Survival checks. What did we get?
7.
7,
17.
17,
11.
11. So
8.
8. Okay. So we have 3 fails and 1 success. That's a group fail. As you try.
Not
As
pulling
you
your weight.
try to kind of recalculate and find your way, you do not find your way to the hideout, but you do find your way back to one of the nearby landmarks that was provided to you by the bartender. And from there, you're able to proceed again. I'm going to let one person now choose to make a survival check, and with the aid of others. So somebody can roll a survival check at advantage now that you're going from this last.
Well, redeem yourself.
yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roll it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that we were
Tell me the highest.
sitting in the same? Oh yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Well,
9.
you know.
A 9. Okay.
I should have prayed to Azul.
The
Yeah. Azul.
Azul.
the sun has risen by the time you stumble upon the outer perimeter of the Yokogawa hideout. You are spotted rather quickly by one of their lookouts, who you see first, but they also see you. And they call out a challenge. When you reply with something to, a prayer to Azul or some such thing,
Azul.
you are rather quickly escorted in. The hideout itself is not much more than it's like a big campsite, basically. It is rather cleverly concealed in an area between some larger cliff faces and some of the smaller foothills. So it's not in a cave or anything like that, but if you didn't know where this certain kind of box canyon opening was and pass through it, you could very easily ride by without entering. Once inside, it's a fairly open field with some of these scrub pines and other things, and there's about 8 tents set up, a couple fires, some fairly substantial stacks of crates, 2 wagons, a small cart, a few oxen, and a horse or 2. And there's about a dozen people here, sort of milling about. Let's do a couple things. Anyone who would like to roll a perception check may do that, or instead you may roll an insight check if you would prefer. So perception check, you'll get information about the layout of the camp, the people and equipment, things like that. Insight check, I'll give you a little more information about kind of the vibe here.
I got the inside check.
Okay.
I'll go perception.
21.
Nice.
Oh,
I'm
I'll
just.
do perception also.
16.
18.
Okay, these are all good rolls.
10 on insight.
Yeah, fair.
Just keep
She needs
drinking.
to sober
yeah.
yeah. There's the. All right. So, looking around, first of all, a scout or the sentry, I guess, who leads you in, is immediately berated by an older elvish man. The scout is Tabaxi, who yells at him basically for letting random strangers into their camp without knowing for sure that it's safe. But you manage to very quickly, with your tale and warning, convince him that at least some procedures were followed at some point along the way, but he is not happy with the lax security that got you into this camp so quickly. You notice a few things as you look around. First, there are a dozen Yokogawa members here, 12 exactly, and one additional person who looks out of place. They are elvish, have sort of shoulder-length, almost metallic silver hair. They're not old, they're young and fit and fairly handsome, and they are dressed almost rakishly in a silk shirt, a sort of flowing silk shirt, leather breeches, high boots. They have a very well-crafted, beautiful silver-handled rapier at their hilt, as well as an ornamental dagger.
These guys are loaded.
They are also wearing a sort of rakish hat, like a very upscale version of Ayers.
Whoa.
It wasn't stolen off a drunk, passed off in an alleyway.
It's clean now, okay?
Yeah, this is clean too. It's just beautiful. They stand out, let's just say, like a peacock in a hen house.
Well, Freya's like brown. I like silver.
Yeah, right.
Silver is my color.
The other thing I would say you notice
Around here.
is that this group is, I mean, you didn't actually see the cell to the east of Featherwand, but the description that you heard of them and their activities strikes you as pretty different from what you're seeing before you. This is a better equipped group. It is more militarized than the farmers and fishermen who were stealing supplies, things like that. Freya, you, with your battle experience, can tell at a glance that this camp has been organized by at least someone with military training. The tents are laid out in neat rows. There's clear organization of equipment. Supplies are separated in appropriate places. And you actually see a few men drilling with short swords and simple wooden shields over in a corner with some dummies and sticks fighting against each other. It feels like you've walked into not a well-equipped military camp, but a military camp, not just a bunch of yokels camping out in the woods. With the insight check that you rolled, what you can tell are two things. One is that these folks are very relaxed. They have had no clue that what you're warning them of was coming. There are no defenses set up here, no walls or barricades. Like they appear very comfortable in the idea that they are hidden away here and no one knows they exist. And they are starting to take on the look of more experienced fighters. And it looks like they've been working hard, but some of them walk with a certain confidence, like they kind of know what they're doing. And then the last thing I will say with that insight check is this silver-haired swashbuckler sort of character that you see is draped over a couple of crates, but what you can tell right away is, as you observe, from time to time he is issuing commands. So while he looks to just be lounging, the Yokogawa members here are listening to him when he tells them to do something, and he is actually the one directing some of this training, though it wouldn't look like it at a glance. The exercises and drills are changing based on his orders. So that's what you take in this sort of vignette in a moment. The older guard who has confronted the younger sentry is now facing you and has just heard your warning of an incoming blade attack, and he's pushing you for details.
we were sent here by somebody from your from the cell that's closer to what is that place?
Salt March. Lane.
Salt
Salt
March.
March.
Yeah, we were on the road to Salt March, and we came across this scene that was there. That the camp was raided by Blades. We had our own altercation with them, but we were able to get out, on there. But the runner that was sent to you to warn you was also attacked and was unable to carry along. So we're here in place of that.
He seems to be trying to crunch some numbers in his head, but as he does, he says, "How many are there? How much time do we have?
I don't think we know any of that.
Can you tell me anything about what's coming?"
How many blades did we see?
In our altercation with the Blades, in their company they had a battle mage, and it sounded like from the altercation of the cell near Salt March Landing that there were several battle mages. Just looking at your outpost here, it doesn't seem like you're ready for one, let alone multiple.
We might be prepared for a single squad, but if there's more than one mage, that means more than one squad. This is trouble. And if you say that this attack took place on the other cell nearly 2 days ago, Salt March Landing for a group of Blades is only a short march. They could be here any moment.
Yeah.
With that being said, we've come straight from Featherwand, and we didn't come on a direct route, being that it took us a moment to find you. And we didn't see any heads or tails of any Blades, which
Kind of strange, actually. Now you say that.
now that I've pointed that out,
Right.
I'm hoping that we
Unless they're already nearby.
didn't bring somebody with us.
Right. I was wondering about that too to start.
And I'm so happy that I'm saying this monologue out loud. That you can all hear me.
I
Yeah.
know.
When you say that, when you say all of this older guard turns and looks at the younger sentry and he says, "I want all three of you 150 yards out now. Get somebody up high." And then he turns and starts marching quickly towards the silver-haired, rakish gentleman who is draped over the crates. And he calls out, "Les, we've got a problem!" Les hops down from the crates and sort of struts in your direction. And he calls out in a very soft voice, but it carries. You can tell instantly this is a person who is good with his voice, knows how to make it carry, and is almost a musical tone about him. And he calls out, "We've got nothing but problems. What is it today?" So we won't I won't role play three people talking to each other over and over and over again. But he quickly downloads this information, and Les, who introduces himself to you, hat off with a flourish to all of you. As, yes. As Les Moonsliver. Les Moonsliver is a pretty jaunty fellow, very charming, and he presses you for information very quickly. But you can see that your news, while it doesn't shake his sort of air of confidence, definitely puts him in a different mood. His eyes grow serious, and some of the jokes and goofiness fade pretty quickly as he understands the situation. And he looks at all of you and says, "If what you say is true, we do indeed have a problem. I've been working with these men for the last 2 weeks or so, and while they certainly are in a better condition than they were when I found them, they're not just a ragtag group of farmers and merchants anymore. They are not prepared to face down 2 or more squads of blades. It's possible that with the help of more capable fighters, we might be able to save some lives, but we need to make preparations immediately.
Of
I
course we
need
do.
to ask, is it your intent to stand here with us, or are you leaving?
I mean, I think
I
we
guess
came
we're
to
standing.
help.
Why can't we evacuate?
Well, I'll certainly be sending some away, but I don't know if we can evacuate. The fact that you saw no blades on the way here tells me that either they've already found us and are preparing to attack when we are unprepared, or that they followed you and you are now just as trapped here as we. We cannot leave behind us. And he looks behind and you see that this box canyon fully sealed in. He said some of these men might be able to scale those cliffs, but most of them would not make it, especially if the attack comes. If you're more capable, perhaps you and I could escape, but I will not abandon these men to their deaths. If we were to move immediately, we could take a risk and hope to escape whatever cordon is being formed behind you by the blades, but then we're potentially fighting on the run and giving up the advantage of this rather defensible space. I will tell you my plan, and you can decide what you will do. It is my intent to equip us as best for survival here as possible, and should we need to flee, to do that as best I can, save as many as I can. If we have only an hour or two, there's little we can do other than get people into good positions. If we're lucky and have a few more hours, if the blades will wait until after lunch perhaps, we may be able to assemble some simple barricades, perhaps rig a trap or two. If we're very lucky, and they will wait until nighttime, as you say they did with the other cell, I may even be able to call for some help, but that's very questionable. It is possible that you could slip out and escape. It doesn't appear that the blades are here looking for you. If they're here to crush this cell, perhaps you can slip out, or you can stay and try to help me save some lives. At the very least, I'll be here, and as I like to say, less is more.
Aw.
I don't know if we could get away with it a second time. Do you think? Because we already got away with it once, being around a hideout while the blades were there.
Yeah, you're the one that wanted to come. Now you
Oh,
don't
I'm
wanna
kind of like
fight.
whatever. I'm like I did the bit.
Flip flopper.
No, we can stick around.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to.
I think Aaron encourages him to send word for.
I think as
Yes.
soon as we
Quickly.
set out that our course was set for what we were going
Yes,
to do here.
agreed.
I think that you should send for your reinforcements less.
more.
Very good. Well, new friends. It is an interesting twist of fate that brings us together, but I cannot say that I am displeased. We will have much to talk about should we survive the day. While I attempt to make contact with those that could potentially help us, and we'll need some space and quiet, perhaps you could work with the men here and attempt to start to put some kind of barricades or defenses in place. As you can see, we have nothing prepared, but the entrance to that box canyon is defensible if we can put some work behind it. Perhaps tearing down some of those crates or even a wagon or two. I'll leave it to you.
I think that I might be acutely prepared to come up with something for that.
All right, at this
Do you have a map?
well, I mean, so this is not, again, this is not a huge space. So what I want you to picture is you entered this area climbing uphill through a fairly narrow canyon, probably 20 feet wide. So 4 of our 5 foot squares across, right? Moving fairly steeply uphill into through this box canyon, about 100 feet deep. At which point it opens up into a good size area, maybe 2 football fields. That sort of rocky plains sort of area, but surrounded, encircled entirely by fairly steep cliffs. So while there's not a great opportunity for escape here, unless you can fly or climb really well, it does narrow the entrance point to a fairly steep incline with that's only about 20 feet wide. So you've got sort of a bottleneck or a kill zone that you could do some things with.
Is there any chance that someone could be up on top,
Yeah, that was my question too.
So
looking down into the basin?
yeah, so they've got a sentry up there. They can only get somebody up on one side safely, so it's not like they've got people on both sides of the canyon. But there is sort of a haphazard, somewhat risky path that gets them up to one point. That's where the guy was who spotted you coming up the canyon. So there's a lookout place up there, or a point of potential attack. From up in that spot, you can see the entire canyon that leads up into your area. So here's how we're going to do this. You have a certain number of hours on the clock. I know how many hours are left based on what it took for you to do all of this traveling. You can basically do 2 things with your time. And depending on what you decide to take on, you may have time to do it or you may not. We'll find out. You can also split your efforts, which makes things take a little longer, but again, may give you the opportunity to do more than one thing. So here are the things that you could put your mind to. You could focus on traps and barricades in the canyon. So this is constructing ways to slow the progress of an attack that's coming through that zone and or kill enemies or wound or what have you. In order to do that, you would need to pull some of these Yokogawai members to help you do the physical labor, and so it would take some time and effort. I would say 2 of you are fairly well qualified for this work, you with your tinkering background and you with your background in command and organizing battle tactics. The other thing that you could do is work on organizing the troops. So while you can't exactly train them right now, you could quickly outline some tactics, strategies. If you know there's an attack incoming, what is the plan? And you could get people prepared and organized for that plan. This is another place where I think 2 of you have some insight. Err a little more on the kind of stealth, sneaky. You've been in some fights in the alley, maybe. Like you've got some dirty tricks up your sleeve, perhaps.
I was gonna pump up their spirits too with my charisma.
Yeah, some inspiration.
Some a rowing, speech or something.
And again, battle tactics are something that you've got experience with. You can get a group of fighters organized in a way and bark out some commands and things like that. So those are the 2 things you could spend effort doing. Les is working on potential reinforcements. And then if there's anything else creative you want to do during this time, if you've got ideas of your own, you're welcome to do that. But what I need to know from each of you is how you're planning to invest, let's say, the next 4 hours. You've probably got 4 hours until the sun starts to get close to going behind the cliffs at the rear of the box canyon. that's a long way from sundown, but it'll get dark in here before it will get dark outside of the canyon.
Can I help Les? Can I go with him to help with whatever reinforcements he's trying to do?
You cannot. Les,
Okay.
Les did not tell you how he is doing
Yeah.
this, and nor did he invite anyone to come with him. He just said he needs time and privacy.
I have a question. Do you know any particular traps or anything that a mage would necessarily fall for or might work against them?
Well, so I have a question for the DM. When it says 5-foot radius light, that's just usable light, right? That, like, if it were to light up, somebody would see it from a distance away. It's just a 5-foot radius light is where it would be useful
Yes.
for somebody to be using it to see something.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I, with my magical tinkering, I can create a light. Is there a chance that I can put that light on a tripwire?
Sure.
Great. So what I would like to do is go down to the entrance of the passageway up. After, I mean, in the creation of creating booby traps and whatnot. And I'll do this twice. We're going to put a booby trap light at the entrance. So if somebody at night is coming up, it'll spring the light. And halfway up as well.
Okay. So there's a early warning system.
Yep.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So,
A little trick the army taught me.
so unsurprisingly to me, Potom is going to be investing time in trapping the canyon.
Yep.
Got it. All right, so that's where your first 4 hours is going.
I'm gonna go and work with the troops to get things. I don't know if Aaron and I can go together to try to see what we can organize and do here.
Okay.
And because I don't have that background in like strategy and things like that, I'm gonna go around and help with practical things like where are your kits for when people get hurt, talk to people, help people, just in kind of whatever way that I can.
Okay.
This is another set of hands, because
Or set of hands with Potom just to
yeah, I just kind of want to be a support because I don't have like something that I feel like can go and be like, you stand there and prepare in this way.
Well, and again, out of character, I don't remember what spells you've chosen as a druid, but there are some things that depending on what you have available to you, that a druid could potentially do to make that canyon harder to get through. Even if you don't have some of the specific spells available that I'm thinking of,
I
certainly
have
some basic
absorb
druid
elements, cure wounds, flaming spear, healing word, pass without trace, and summon beast.
okay, so you don't have some of the spells I was thinking of, but there is some basic druid craft that actually would probably be useful to Potom. Like you can make some small things grow. You can, so there'd be so. I guess here's the question: do you think Panda would be more likely to be focused on the people who are about to get in a fight,
Yes.
or on making life difficult for any soldiers coming up the canyon?
I think that Pando is hyper fixed on like, oh my gosh, here's a bunch of people who are gonna like encounter some of the things we've just encountered.
Okay.
Let me help them in whatever way that I can.
Cool. So here's what we're gonna do. For this first 4 hour stretch, I'll just tell you right now, an attack does not come in the first 4 hours. So these 4 hours pass, and you are all busily focused on the tasks that you have taken on for yourselves. 3 of you are focused on helping to prepare the troops. Each of you tell me what you think you should roll
Okay.
to be successful at this. Basically, how are you trying to support these men so that they are better equipped to fight? Or you said you were going to be focused on inspiring.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm thinking that's a charisma.
Sure.
Go persuasion if
Sure.
that is specifically what you're thinking.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Would
Okay.
you like me to roll it?
Give me that roll.
17.
Excellent.
I don't really know. I was thinking maybe athletics, or would that go in with that, or
I mean,
I don't know,
if you want-
intimidation.
You intimidate them into
Yeah,
into.
I mean, I can see.
just showing them intimidation.
You're gonna fight, okay, or I'll kill you.
I could see some different
First
things,
man
right?
turns and runs.
So,
I'll
like,
kill
if
myself.
you wanted to, they're getting ready for a fight.
Okay.
If you wanted to, if you wanted to like put them through warm-ups, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna do some stretches. We're gonna
Yeah.
get loose,
Everyone get
right?
limber.
PT time, everyone.
It is.
Calisthenics.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's not exactly training,
No,
but
no.
there's a factor of
Yeah,
like let's
yeah.
get loose, let's get physically ready for this,
Mhm.
right?
Nothing
Fill your
worse than-
bellies,
Yeah.
fill your bellies with food now, because if
Yeah.
we're fighting for hours, like there's some
Yeah.
stuff you've
Yeah.
learned from some long campaigns.
Drink water.
Yeah. So it could be that. You could go full drill sergeant,
Mhm.
for sure, and then I would say intimidation I'd be okay with. There's versions of this where you can use intimidation instead of persuasion
Okay.
when you have a certain kind of approach. Or if you want to literally use your experience with leading men in combat,
Mhm.
then you're not going to love this, but I would be
History?
saying an intelligence or
Oh,
a wisdom,
intelligence. Okay.
something like that. But you tell me what you think is going to be helpful for these guys.
Honestly, let's
Less about what you have a higher modifier in, and more about what you think this
They could really
dragonborn
use.
chieftainess or
Yeah.
priestess or whatever.
It probably should be more of a wisdom. Probably should be more of a wisdom. I'll try to share a little.
You don't know-
Little wisdom, battle wisdom.
You
with
don't know
them.
much about Les, but apart from Les, maybe you are the closest thing to a veteran in this box campaign
Yeah.
right now. So I think that makes sense that you would
Mhm.
step forward and say, "All right, here's some basics. We're not going to put you over here. You're not going to. This
Mhm.
place is too exposed. You can take cover over
Right.
here." Right? They have a few bows. Like there's some things that
Sure.
you're going to tactically place your resources to their best advantage and talk them through some simple things. Right? Don't start shooting the moment you see blades at the bottom of the canyon. Right?
Sure.
This kind of stuff. So why don't you roll a wisdom check for me?
All right. 8.
Okay. And then Pando, how are you helping?
Well, I went back and forth
Archers
between
face this
survival
way.
and
Wait, no.
medicine, but maybe medicine, because my goal is to walk around and help people understand like what supplies they have, know where they are, so that when all of this is happening really fast, they know what they can turn to help one another, because
Okay.
you might not be able to pause and do like big
I like
healing
that.
magic.
Let's do a medicine check.
No, natural 20.
Natural 20. That's
So
uh,
20.
Brings it to
24.
24. Yeah.
24.
that's really good.
Everyone
So-
knows exactly.
What you needed,
We got tourniquets.
what you needed to accomplish a win here was 2 successes, and it's a good thing there were 3 of you focused on it because you got those 2 successes. So, over the course of 4 hours, you get these troops prepared and organized. They're in a better situation. They're in a better position now. They're feeling good. They're feeling some confidence. They look less scared. They know where to go to get help. They're not quite sure about all your directions, but they're doing better than they were. Mechanically, what this is going to do is going to give all of them a +1 to the rolls that we're going to do.
Heck
So
yeah.
I will tell you, at this point, I'll tell you about some of the mechanics of this combat you're about to enter.
Wow, can you imagine if we just avoided this? How angry Matt would have been after.
If we're like,
I mean,
let's
just walk
just
away.
go.
I don't like to railroad people. But you were going to fight somebody.
Yeah,
You were gonna
right.
fight-
The town drunk comes out, and it's unavoidable. You have to fight this guy.
And he has the stats of a veteran and makes 3 attacks per round.
Yeah.
For his legendary
Oh,
action, he breathes
goodness.
fire.
Yeah. Level
Um,
17 fighters.
yeah. You mess
He's
with
got the
wrong
worst
merchant.
breath that you've ever seen.
So the battle is going to work in 2 parallel fights. You all will be able to have a traditional sort of D&D battle with whatever group you engage. So you're going to have a straight up normal D&D fight. But while that's happening, these 12 Yokogawai are going to be engaged in fighting everyone else that shows up to this particular party. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to roll a d4 for each of them and put that total score up against the total rolled for each of the blades, battle mages, or whatever else that is in the opposing force. And the group that has a higher total is going to take fewer losses in that round of fighting. People are going to die in every round of fighting in that battle. So what you have just done by investing in these troops is given all of them a +1. So they are now going to roll a d4 +1 to try to create that total. So pretty substantial impact mathematically, I'll just say. Potom, you have just invested 4 hours setting up early warning systems and other traps in the box canyon. What kind of role do you think that is?
I think that this is a straight up intelligence check, taking the resources that the canyon has and the intelligence of the crew that I've been assigned to, telling me what resources they have and using those resources to our advantage.
All right, do it. Roll me an intelligence check.
It's a 14.
Okay. So with a 14, you make good progress here. That's a success. You have not invested enough time yet to feel like you've given a huge advantage to the group, but you have put some things in place here so that they will not be surprised, first of all. But you haven't gotten to the point where you've set up killing traps, right? There will not be a disadvantage. If this is another nighttime raid, you're going to see it coming. But you did not have time or the resources yet to build things that would actually take down blades on their way up this canyon.
The last a little stretch of canyon to get into the camp proper. What? It's still a 20-foot wide area.
Yeah.
And then what's how steep is it?
It's roughly 20 feet wide the whole way up, about 100 feet up. It's a fairly steep grade, like set of stairs, steep.
Okay.
And rocky. And then at the top, it's the last 10 feet, let's say, start to widen. So then it's 30 feet wide, then it's 40 feet wide, and then you're in.
Okay.
Fairly rapidly.
You want to roll a boulder down there, like Indiana Jones style?
I might have some ideas for an actual trap at the top.
Okay. So at this point, the sun is getting low on the back wall, behind the back wall of the box canyon. We're not at true sunset yet, but it's probably like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to do another 4-hour chunk here, and at this point, I don't know if the attack will come during this time or not. But how are you investing these next 4 hours? Les still has not returned.
Pando just makes a note to the group that we now officially own these horses.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Well,
They
whatever.
are ours.
I do.
They're like the
Called it.
How much? What's the going rate for a horse in this world? Did we get a good deal out of this or not really?
No.
We overpaid.
Yeah, you definitely.
It's a convenience store horse.
Right. I had 83 gold pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They'll come in
what
handy.
Potom would like to do is he would like to bottleneck the bottleneck even more.
Okay.
While it is still 20-foot canyon, he would like to build up at least 6 foot of a V shape and at least 6 feet out from the canyon wall, creating
I think
just
I could
about
probably help a little with
just
that.
about an 8-foot stretch in between that V. Someplace where 2 goals. One, someone can hide behind there. And then also once we leave that, we can push those rocks, pull a a board or a stop of some sort, pull and let those rocks go towards
Okay.
the oncoming traffic.
All right. So we're setting up traps designed to hurt and delay, and narrow the field of fire.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
And also, I have a grease spell that once we see them, will be in
Oh,
that
nice.
8-foot area.
Nice.
Being that it's a 10-foot spell, you gotta close that canyon a little bit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Not that
is
I like to reveal my tactics to the DM before.
I got you now.
rock salt. They all came equipped. Okay. Is anyone helping with that, or are there other places where you're going to invest your energy for the next 4 hours?
Panda would like to flip and go and help with some of these things too, because
Yeah.
she's less
I'm-
familiar with it.
I'm definitely going over to move some rocks.
Physical labor
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Air.
I think air. Well, because you said there's like.
Well, there's an open chair to lounge on.
Well, I guess I'm picturing. I guess since we're going with the Lord of the Rings theme here, kind of like the coming the dusk of the before the Battle of Helm's Deep, where it's just like starting to drizzle, and you just like there's like this impending
Yep.
fight coming. And I think Air would probably just go if there's somewhere that she can like keep watch or something, and now pull out her ridiculously long pipe. That's not become
Yeah.
a character staple.
Yes.
And to see if she can see anything, or we'll see something.
Okay. All right. So
Develop.
you're be up at the lookout.
Sure. Yeah.
Spot. Okay. Very good. So
Unless you think there's something, unless she walks through the camp and sees something that's like clearly lacking.
Well, so I'll say a couple things. First of all, you all can get started on this, and there's several Yokogawai members who will jump in to help. Some of the burlier will grab chunks of rock and start moving them. Others will start helping you set up the barricades themselves and maybe working on other things. It's a fairly labor-intensive thing that you're taking on here, and so a chunk of those folks will. But it is about this time that Les returns, as you're in the midst of this. Maybe you're up on the lookout and you see Les come out of a sort of a grove of trees that he had been spending time in.
Les is a double agent.
He's just taking a nap.
He didn't leave the box canyon, to be clear,
Okay.
but just found some privacy and has now come back into the camp proper. And when he sees what's been going on, he sort of nods to himself for a moment, and then he waves over to the older guard. And your hearing is good enough that you can hear some of this exchange, but you hear something to the terms of, to the effect of, fall back position, break down those wagons, things that, something like that. And he's sort of giving some quick clipped commands, and then he sees you up there and kind of gives you a wave as like,
Oh.
come down if you would. When you get down there, you see that some of the Yokogawai, under the direction of this, as close to a veteran as they have, are starting to literally tear apart their wagons and carts and break down some of the crates, and they're basically building like a ring barricade, essentially like a low wooden wall, as a place that they could potentially fall back to if the blades get in to the canyon, to provide just one more place to provide some backup. So Les looks at you and says, I can't be confident of reinforcements, but I am told that help is on the way. Timing is questionable. I'd like to quickly peruse the work that's being done in the canyon. If you wouldn't mind keeping these men focused, it would be appreciated. All right, jaunty hat to jaunty hat, and Les heads into the canyon. So let's do our rolls. 3 of you are working on hurdy traps. So I'd like each of you to, I'm going to guess athletics for this one because you're lifting heavy rocks. You can roll intelligence. Pando, your help looks like what?
I mean, I'm not strong, but I'm not super weak, and so I was just going to be helping with the physical stuff as
Okay.
well.
Then athletics check for
Okay.
me, please.
I got a 10.
Okay.
13.
13.
I got a 16.
Hey.
Now
Pando
that I'm
comes-
sober, I'm
Pando comes up big.
Pando.
Ooh, how about I like this. So I'm not going to make you burn a spell slot for this.
Okay.
But I think this is where, you know, that same spell that gave you claws.
Yes.
I think you go beast mode on it a little bit. I think you get
Ooh.
down there and you see a normally not strong elf
Mm-hmm.
get a little muscly, get a little, maybe a little hairier than normal. The
Mhm.
big claws come out and you're chucking boulders up to Freya, who's like, wait, what's happening?
Whoa.
A little surprised.
Like,
by it.
I can't rage. I'm saving my rage here.
But this is enough successes to set up delaying and killing traps in the canyon.
Okay.
These blades are not gonna stand a chance.
And so what this is going to do is I'm going to roll a die when the attack begins, and it is going to eliminate a number of them, a random number of them. Air, you tell me how you're helping with this final barricade.
That's a good question. Uh, what makes sense now? Because we kind of already. I guess. I mean, maybe she's just in it. She's just pulls up her
Rolls over
sleeves
sleeves.
and
Yeah, okay.
and her -1 strength modifier. And
All right, I think.
or is there? I'm trying to think of like what else she would be doing. Or something. Oh, no,
I think
maybe
this is
something
to
magical.
me. This feels a little more. Well, I mean, if you've got a creative use of
Oof.
magic, but
Give
to
me
me
one
this
second.
feels a little more intelligence based.
Okay.
Like,
Like, put the rocks here.
Well-
Or
Well-
like design.
Rocks
because
are
this is
fall.
like we just took apart 2 wagons, a cart, and a whole bunch of crates, and we're trying to make a ring wall that we could hide behind and not die.
Right.
So it's Legos,
Okay,
kind of,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not you're not creating cool things that have to do a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still assembling stuff that's not meant to fit together like this. And so
Mhm.
I think it might be kind of like spotting places where
Sure.
you're playing Tetris.
Sure, or she has like a stick she's drawing in the dirt about.
Yeah,
This
like,
is
I
how you
think
should
we
prop
need
this up and-
yeah.
Okay.
So roll what you please there.
I guess I'll just roll intelligence, right? Or wisdom? Intelligence?
I think intelligence, if we're designing something, if you're sketching in the dirt.
15?
Yeah, great.
I mean, there's nothing really, yeah. I was trying to find some kind of cool spell, but I guess there's not really much.
So as true night begins to fall, you are sweaty, still a little anxious. The men, while they have some confidence and they've been boosted and feel prepared, are starting to look nervous. Once, maintaining a level of anxiety for 8 hours when you know the attack could come at any time is wearing on some of them. There's a lot of questions about should we eat, should we build a fire, should we not? And instead, everyone seems to have settled into a tense waiting. It's quiet. Les, you notice, uses this time to sort of wander around from person to person, whispering quiet words. You hear a little bit of laughter from time to time, or you might catch him with a serious look on his face saying something, put a hand on someone's shoulder. But wherever he passes, you see men stand up a little straighter, reassert their eyes at the entrance of the canyon. He seems to be helping in his own specific way. And at a certain point, he comes over to where you all are gathered, and he sits, and pulls out a little flask and takes a sip, and he says, "As many times as I've done this, this is still the worst part, the waiting." And he passes the flask around for any who want to join in with a quick sip.
Panda will take a sip.
It's Elvish fire brandy. It is very high alcohol content, and so it has an aggressive burn, but it is not harsh.
Okay.
So if you could imagine a liquor that has the alcohol content of Everclear, but
Without blinding you.
but tastes like a
Fire.
well-made pear brandy,
Oh, okay.
Nice.
but you go still at the end. That's what's in here. You know better than to take more than a tiny little nip of this.
Mhm.
This
Just a zipper.
Yeah, just a sipper. And as you sit and wait, Les begins to tell you some things about himself, about the world, and about the Yoko Gawai. And when we return from our break for part 2 of this session, I will tell you, the players, some of those things. But I think this is a good place for us to take a brief break.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.